Elon Musk's dangerous prediction about robots has become a reality. Today, robots have already taken humans' jobs. It is happening across the world, and the situation is becoming scary. With that, a few days ago, Elon explained that Japan as a country is disappearing. And most of the countries around the world, starting with the USA, have the same horrible situation. Moreover, as Elon explains, with new recent developments in the world, the worst situation is with specifically four countries: the USA, Italy, Japan, and China. If something significant won't change, these countries are going to disappear because, as Elon says, math is very clear on this issue. You just have to analyze it. In a series of tweets, Musk has stated that the large-scale drops in the world's fertility rates are his biggest concern at the moment, and even his apprehensions about the threat of artificial intelligence taking over the planet don't come close. Musk has also emphasized that the US birth rate has been well below the sustainable rate for about 50 years. According to official figures, Italy's population is aging, and Musk is concerned that the country may perish. Andrea Stroppa, a cybersecurity expert, shared a figure depicting the birth rate in Italy declining from 1946 to 2019. Despite having a robust welfare system in place, she captioned the chart, "The birth rate is declining." Musk replied by predicting that if the present trends persist, Italy won't exist very soon. According to ISTAT, the Italian National Institute of Statistics, in 2020 the number of births in Italy reached its lowest level since the country's unification in 1861. It was the 12th year of fall in a row. In 2020, there were 15,192 fewer births than in 2019, and yet the number of deaths increased to 746,146, and the population fell to 59.3 million people. The mean number of children born per woman living in Italy was 1.24 in 2020, one of the lowest fertility rates in the world. Apart from Italy, Musk believes that the population of South Korea and Hong Kong is also rapidly falling. Both, he claims, are witnessing the swiftest population declines. According to World Bank data, the replacement rate for women in the countries with the lowest birth rates is 2.1 children per woman. The billionaire appears intent on using his platform to bring attention to the matter and advocate for a global response. Because underpopulation has become a global issue that is already affecting everyone, and Elon tries to raise awareness everywhere about how a low birth rate is becoming detrimental to the well-being of human civilization. In addition to raising the issue, Musk also appears to be contradicting conventional knowledge that says the high expenses of living prevent some people from having children. When Billy Marcus, co-founder of the Bitcoin Dogecoin, pointed out that one of the main reasons is that people can't afford to have children, Musk objected. He wondered why it is that the wealthier a person is, the fewer children they have. Musk also appears unimpressed by the efficacy of various strategies enacted to counteract population reduction. He emphasized that contrary to popular belief, the wealthier a person is, the fewer children they have. He described himself as an uncommon exception, claiming that most of the individuals he knows had either no children or only one. To remedy the population collapse, which he calls the greatest threat to society, he believes we must begin by celebrating children. Musk has claimed that the United Nations estimates and forecasts don't make any sense at all. He urged the people to do their math by multiplying the previous year's number of births by the life expectancy. Keeping in mind the decreasing birth rate, in Musk's opinion, that is the best-case scenario unless the situation turns on its head. According to a figure presented by the United Nations, the world's population is expected to grow by 2 billion people over the next 30 years. And Musk thinks that this is just ridiculous and impossible. According to the World Population Prospects 2019, the global population could reach nearly 11 billion by the end of the 21st century. The UN also stated that, while the global population continued to grow, growth rates varied across regions. The tech billionaire began his criticism of the US birth rate by presenting a graph showing women's fertility rates. According to the graph, the fertility rate has decreased from 3.5 in 1960 to less than 1.5 in 2020. A woman's fertility rate determines how many children she will have. Sharing the graph, Musk had said that the birth rate in the United States was well below the minimum sustainable threshold for the past 50 years. Musk later responded to the graph by claiming that the previous 2 years had been a demographic nightmare. He has stated several times that today there aren't enough people on Earth, so how can there be enough amount of people who will inhabit Mars in the near future? He's even predicted that the world's population will plummet in the next 2 decades, a prediction backed up by multiple studies. According to new demographic research funded by the Gates Foundation and published in The Lancet, the world population will peak at 9.7 billion this century before swiftly declining. And this horrible situation is affecting the biggest countries in the world. For example, China has gone through a giant decrease in population. By the end of the century, China is predicted to lose roughly 668 million people, while India is predicted to lose around 290 million. A BBC article from 2020 predicted that by 2100, the population of around 23 nations, the bulk of which are in Europe, will be half of what it is now. He even mentioned a few people who still believe having fewer children is better for the environment. He remarked during the closed-door All-In Summit that the environment would be fine even if the population was doubled. He said that he was well versed in environmental concerns, and his point was a valid one because Japan had the lowest birth rate in the world. Having children is necessary for preserving civilization, and in his opinion, we cannot allow society to perish. This decrease has been described as a mystery by analysts. The fall in 2008 corresponded to the global economic crisis of that year, which resulted in one of the worst US recessions in history. However, even as the economy has improved, the rate did not rise in the following years. According to an EconoFact article produced earlier by 3 college and university economists, the US birth rate was 55.8 births per 1,000 women between the ages of 15 and 44 in 2020, down over 20% from the rate of 69.3 in 2007. Many populations are seeing a decrease. According to the economists, births have decreased among women with and without post-secondary education, married and single women, and white, black, and Hispanic women. The question is, how much of an impact a dropping birth rate has and how harmful it may be? Depends on who you ask. Human beings are necessary for society to function. Today's newborns will work in tomorrow's hospitals and nursing homes, pay the taxes that keep the state operating, purchase the houses, and invest in the shares that today's adults have sunk all of their savings into. A lack of infants is connected to an aging society, in which there are fewer and fewer individuals of working age, resulting in a scarcity of skilled employees and supply and demand markets unable to meet demand, resulting in higher labour prices and slower corporate development. Caroline Harnett, a demographer and sociologist at the University of South Carolina, have stated that low or negative population growth can result in a diminishing population, which has previously resulted in poorer GDP development. Some think that population decline is advantageous. It is a sign of women's rights. It will result in a greener, healthier society with fewer people depleting finite natural resources. According to Morgan Stanley analysts, having a kid is 7 times worse for the environment in terms of CO2 emissions per year than the following 10 most talked about individual mitigants. In industrialized countries, having 1 fewer kid per family might save around 58.6 metric tons of carbon per year, according to a 2017 Swedish research. Moreover, Elon stated in a tweet that he didn't want to be stating the obvious, but unless something big changes and birth rates exceed the mortality rate, Japan will someday face extinction, which would be very unfortunate for the rest of the world. Sony and Toyota recently announced that the population of Japan fell by 644,000 people to 125.5 million people in 2021 compared to a year earlier. And 2021 will be the 11th year in a row that the population has seen a decline. That's it. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell.